Y'all, I straight up already recorded this video, and then for some unknown reason my computer was like, meh, not feeling that, and the video was corruptible and unplayable. So I'm going to be re-recording this again for you. So delightful, pretty excited. Not at all, really, not at all excited. I'm not excited. So yeah, hey, happy Monday. Yeah, we're on book number 30 of our Magic Treehouse book. If you are reading the newer versions, I believe this is book number 2, but either way, it's Haunted Castle on Hallows Eve. It's our second Merlin mission. This one is only 13 chapters, so it's a little bit shorter than the other one. I'm going to read just 2 chapters today so we can get into it, and then we'll go into tomorrow, and we'll probably read 3. So I just want to introduce our vocabulary to start, and then we'll get started reading so this video doesn't get too long. Okay, so the first word is apprentice. And an apprentice is basically somebody who learns how to do something by watching somebody else. So like when I was becoming a teacher, I spent a lot of my time watching other teachers teach so that I got an idea of how to do it. The next word is cottage. A cottage is basically a small, really kind of a simple house. So none of us really live in cottages. Cottages are kind of what we think about as being like out in the country, or maybe in fairy tales, a lot of people live in cottages. The next word is mortal. Mortal means able to die. It means that you're not going to live forever. Immortal would mean that you never die. So like a lot of monsters or fairies and things like that are immortal, meaning they live forever, they don't age. Whereas mortal means, you know, we grow up, we get old, and then eventually we die. A raven is actually the birds that are on the wall behind me. Yeah, if you look behind there, those are pictures of ravens. They're not actual ravens, but basically it's a raven is a big bird similar to a crow. I'll try to find some videos to link to you on Google Classroom, but they're really big birds, and they typically eat carrion or dead animals, and they're very, very smart as well. They can actually imitate human speech, and they're pretty cool. The next word is centuries. Centuries, not to be confused with centuries, which is a unit of time, but centuries, spelled S-E-N-T-R-I-E-S, is a type of a guard that you might see guarding like a castle or something. The next word is spooky. Spooky means creepy or weird. And then the last word we actually use in class quite often. It's called strategy. And basically what a strategy is a way of solving a problem. So we use a lot of strategies in math to solve problems. And you can use a strategy like Jack and Annie always come up with a plan to solve their problems in their story. So we're going to read these first 2 chapters if you want to follow along, if you have the book. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. All right. The hearth is cold in the lonely hall, no banquets deck the boards. No page stands ready at the call to tend his weary lord. It's a poem from Earl Desmond and the Banshee. Okay, chapter 1, All Hallows Eve. Maybe I should be a vampire instead of a princess, said Annie. She and Jack were sitting on their front porch. A cool breeze rustled the trees. Autumn leaves twirled to the ground. But you already have your princess costume, said Jack. Besides, you were a vampire last Halloween. Yeah, but I want to wear my big teeth, said Annie. So wear your big teeth and be a vampire, princess, said Jack. I'm going to go put on my ghoul makeup now. Caw. Oh man, said Jack. A giant black bird swooped down to the ground. The bird strutted through the fallen leaves. Its feathers glistened in the golden afternoon light. Is that a crow? Asked Annie. Too big to be a crow, said Jack. I think it might be a raven. A raven, said Annie. Cool. The raven lifted its sleek black head and stared at them with bright eyes. Jack held his breath. The bird hopped forward and flapped its great black wings and lifted into the air. Then he glided through the autumn sky and headed towards the Frog Creek woods. Annie jumped up. It's a sign! Morgan's back, she said. I think you're right, said Jack. Let's go. They hurried across their front yard, crunching through the leaves, and up the street into the Frog Creek woods. When they came to the tallest oak, they saw a rope ladder swaying in the wind. The Magic Treehouse was waiting. Just as we thought, said Annie, smiling. Jack followed her up the ladder. When they climbed inside, they saw no sign of Morgan Le Fay, the enchantress from the Kingdom of Camelot. That's weird, said Jack, looking around. The wind blew hard again, shaking the tree. A huge yellow leaf fluttered through the open window and came to rest at Jack's feet. Oh man, he said, look at this. What? Said Annie. Jack picked up the leaf. There was writing on it. The letters were curvy and old-fashioned. "Wow," said Annie. "What's it say?" Jack held up the leaf to the window, and in the fading light he read, "To Jack and Annie of Frog Creek, on All Hallows Eve, look for me in the heart of the oak. M." "M," said Annie. "Morgan never signs messages with M." "Right," said Jack. "But Merlin does," they said together. "Like when he sent us that invitation to spend Christmas in Camelot," said Annie. She pointed to the royal invitation that lay on the floor. "Now he's inviting us to Halloween," said Jack. "Halloween was called All Hallows Eve a long time ago." "I know," said Annie. "We have to go." "Well, of course," said Jack. There was no way they could turn down an invitation from the master magician of all time. But how do we get there? And All Hallows Eve was a Celtic pagan holiday celebrated many years ago, and it came before November the 1st, which was considered All Saints Day, and now we just call it Halloween, and it's celebrated quite a bit differently, but there are some similarities. "I bet our invitation will take us," said Annie, "like when we went to King Arthur's castle on Christmas Eve." "Good idea," said Jack. He pointed to the fancy writing on the leaf. "I wish we could go to where the leaf invitation came from," said Annie. "Right," said Jack. The wind began to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still, absolutely still. Chapter 2. The Heart of the Oak. Jack opened his eyes. A chilly wind blew into the treehouse. Oak leaves swirled outside. "Look, we have our costumes," said Annie. "I'm not a princess or a vampire." Jack looked at their clothes. He was wearing a knee-length tunic and tights. Remember, tunic was an old one. It means like a long t-shirt that goes like to your knees. Annie was wearing a dress with an apron. "Camelot costumes," said Jack. They looked out the window together. They were in a huge oak in a forest. The afternoon sun was low. "So, what do we do?" said Jack. "The invitation says we're supposed to meet Merlin in the heart of the oak," said Annie. "Yeah, but what does that mean?" said Jack. "The heart of the oak." "I don't know. Let's go down and figure it out," said Annie. She carefully placed their invitation in a corner of the treehouse, and then she and Jack climbed down the rope ladder. They stepped onto the leafy ground. In the fading daylight, they began circling the base of the oak. They walked all the way around until they came back around to the rope ladder. "Back where we started," said Jack. "We never found it." "Wait a minute," said Annie. "What's that?" She pointed to a long, thin crack in the bark of the tree. A sliver of light seemed to be coming through. Jack touched the bark around the light and pushed. The crack got bigger. "It's a secret door," said Jack. He pushed harder. Creak. A tall, narrow door swung into the light. Light streamed from the inside. "We found it," whispered Annie. "The heart of the oak." Jack nodded. "Let's go in," said Annie. They slipped through the narrow doorway into the bright hollow of the tree trunk. Pretty cool way to hide a secret room. I'd like to have a secret room in an actual tree. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. The round room was lit with hundreds of candles. Shadows danced on the curved brown walls. "This isn't possible," thought Jack. The heart of the oak seemed much bigger than the tree itself. "Welcome," said a deep, whispery voice. They turned around to see an old man sitting in a carved wooden chair. He had a long white beard and wore a red cloak. "Hi, Merlin," said Annie. "Hello, Annie." "Hello, Jack." "It's good to see you," said the magician. "I'm grateful for the help you gave us on Christmas Eve in Camelot. Now Morgan and I believe you may be able to help us again." "We'd love to," said Annie. "The whole future of our kingdom depends upon your success," said Merlin. "Are you sure you want us?" said Jack. "I mean, we're kids." "You've passed many tests for Morgan," said Merlin. "And are you not master librarians and magicians of everyday magic?" "Yeah," said Jack. "Good. You will need all your skills on this mission," said Merlin. "You will also need a helper and guide from our world, the world of magic and legend." "Well, are you coming?" asked Annie. "No," the magician said. "Your guide shall be one much younger than I. He's in my library now. Yesterday he brought me some books I had requested from Morgan's library." "Who's somebody that we've met before that could be a guide for Morgan and Merlin's world?" Merlin rose from his chair. "Come," he said, and led them to a door in the wall. He opened it and stepped into another room, and Jack and Annie followed him. The musty room was filled with scrolls and ancient-looking books. Sitting on the floor was a boy of about 11 or 12. He was reading by light of a lantern. "Your helper and guide," Merlin said. The boy looked up. He had a friendly freckled face and dark twinkly eyes. He broke into a big grin. "Arf, arf," he said. "Teddy!" cried Annie. Jack couldn't believe it. Their helper was the young sorcerer who was training as Morgan's apprentice. Merlin for once looked surprised. You already know each other? He asked. Yeah, I met a while ago when I accidentally changed myself into a dog, said Teddy. Morgan wanted to teach Teddy a lesson, said Annie, so she sent him with us on 4 treehouse journeys before she changed him back. He saved us on the Titanic and from a buffalo stampede. And from a tiger in India, said Jack, and a forest fire in Australia. Did you guys guess it would be Teddy? Pretty cool, huh? Wondrous journeys indeed, said Merlin. I'm glad you're already friends. Your friendship may help you on this mission. What exactly is our mission, said Annie. Well, we are now in one of the outlying realms of Camelot, said Merlin. Outlying realm. A realm is anywhere that's ruled by like a ruler. And a king, queen, duke, duchess, anything like that. And outlying means not a part, not actual like main castle of Camelot, but like a part of King Arthur's realm. But just not, it's complicated. It's like a realm is like a state that belongs, but this realm belongs, it's like how Virginia is part of the United States, but it's also its own little place. Yeah. Merlin leaned forward as if he were about to tell them something scary. It will be your mission, he said, to bring order to the Duke's castle. Merlin sat back and his gaze was calm, but fierce light shone in his eyes. Bring order to a castle, thought Jack. Is that all? Who messed it up, said Annie. You'll find out soon enough, said Merlin. We accept our mission gladly, said Teddy. The mission will be done without fail. Merlin fixed his gaze on Teddy. Perhaps, he said, but a warning, my boy. You are hasty and careless with your magic rhymes. On this mission, you must choose all your words wisely. Indeed I will, said Teddy. Merlin turned to Jack and Annie. And a warning to you, he said. You are about to enter a tunnel of fear. Proceed onward with courage, and you will come out in the light. Tunnel of fear? Jack thought. Merlin picked up the lantern and handed it to Teddy. The Duke's castle lies to the east. Go quickly, he said. Order must be restored as soon as possible. Teddy nodded at Merlin, and then he turned to Jack and Annie. To the Duke's castle, he said, and led them out of the heart of the oak. Chapter 3. Raw? And that's where we're going to stop for today. So we will read probably 3 chapters tomorrow. We'll see. And then, we'll keep going from there. Before I go today, I just wanted to show you, I actually have a couple of grown-up King Arthur stories that I'm reading. This one is The True Story of King Arthur. So it's basically looking into, King Arthur obviously wasn't a real person, but there's some evidence for, some of the stories that were written and how these stories got written and, where the legend came from. This talks a lot about Le Morte d'Arthur, which is the original King Arthur story written by Sir Thomas Malory. And then I also have, this big old thing over here, and look how thick that is, that I'm going to be reading, which is The Story of King Arthur and His Knights, written by Howard Pyle. This one is quite an old book. The book itself isn't old, but the stories in here are pretty old. This was first published in 1903, and so this is the stories in this book are over 100 years old. They're quite old, but so I'm reading about King Arthur as well in my own grown-up books. So I'll have to take you on a tour of my house someday and show you all my bookshelves full of books that I have. But that's not going to be today because I'm kind of getting hungry and I want to go eat lunch. Okay, so anyway, have a delightful Monday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Toodaloo!